Welcome back, everybody, to another lovely, fantastically sunny day in Berlin. Back with Toffel again, who is going to help me look for more cards so that when I got back for this wedding next month, I can look through and just pick some up and see if I can like flip them on the side and maybe buy my dad something nice for his birthday. So you've given me 5 cards here. Yep, 5 cards. These are cards that are more expensive than they should be for just seemingly no reason, and you're going to explain to me the reason why.
Yeah, so last time we focused on like old frame cards, foils. You can see the video here somewhere. We looked about cards that are good in Commander, which have some like similar strategy, and some good in other formats. And today we're going to look at other factors that you hopefully remember once you look through the cards.
Perfect, so just stuff that I should look for and remember when I'm looking through.
Excellent.
Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us if you want to see more content like this.
Yeah, we did last time this was a huge success. Yeah. People wanted more, and we're gonna make like, even when you're back from the wedding, be like a regular segment to educate you, I guess, and other people around which card is hot right now.
After I've come back and flipped my dad's my dad's treasure.
Maybe you don't even need to work anymore.
Okay, so the first card we're looking at here is Pemin's Aura.
So for 1 blue, it's an enchantment creature, so you put it on a creature, and then it has a lot of abilities. It says for blue you can untap it, for blue you give it flying, for blue you can make it not be target of anything, and for 1 colorless you can give it either +1, -1, or -1/+1.
Okay, so there's a lot of effects going on.
So we know this as the Morphling ability, because there's actually a creature that has this, right?
So very versatile effect on the card.
Like there was a 5-mana 3/3 that has this. The reason why this card is expensive is not because it's an homage to the creature, although the creature was very good back then. It's because the one single line untap enchanted creature.
Because I know tapping and untapping is like a very important thing to do.
There are a lot of commander cards which have those things, like untap a creature. There are a lot of powerful creatures that tap for something. You can make like 8/8 creatures or treasure chests or whatever. Like the world is like
the world's your oyster in this one.
Yeah, exactly. And it also happens to have like protection, because for another blue you can make somebody not destroy it, so you can even keep it, right? Even though this is an uncommon from like longer time ago for Magic wise, it's still worth around €4.
Okay.
And a lot of those tend to get lost.
Sitting in your bulk,
I remember back then I had a lot of those because you picked them up in like drafting and stuff, and they went somewhere I don't even know where, so they're probably lost forever.
Something that just like baffles me. I remember I was in a local in Ireland, and I watched them give away like a bag of bulk, like a bin bag of bulk. Like they just said, all right, whatever, and just dumped it all into the bin bag, and then 2 kids came in. They were like, do you want a bag of bulk? And they were like, yeah, sure. So like, I mean, like in 10-20 years, who knows like what that's worth.
Yeah,
like,
a friend of mine who played Magic way before asked me if I can give him like a trash bag of cards just to remember again. So I threw in some cards and I gave it to him when he played, and he stopped again. And after like 5 years, I came back and he said, I still have this bag, can you look through him? And I found like cards that are worth like €10 now, random uncommons.
It's
like
just crazy,
Ether Vials, which might not say anything to you, but Ether Vials says something to the audience. There were like plenty of those. And it was like, what I considered back then as trash is crazy.
Yeah, it's mad just what happens. So like the fact that it untaps, but then also the versatility means that the card is kind of worth something a little bit, right?
Right. Funny little side story about this card. The name came because it's an anagram of I Am Superman, which is funny. I think like Pemin was actually named after this, so they could do this joke, I assume. And do you know who Superman is?
Yeah, of course I know who Superman is.
No, I mean like in Magic wise.
No.
I gave you a little hint. Do you remember? Because I already said it came from the creature Morphling.
Okay.
And back then it was actually so good they called it Superman.
Okay,
yes.
so
there's like a little homage
to like there's like layers and layers here. Okay, that's kind of cool.
Very funny.
Nice.
So if you find those, worth a penny.
Awesome. Right, next card up is Exsanguinate. A very once again, the black mana cards are always just like exceptionally like hardcore, I think. But yes,
you can read it. Like.
So sorcery. Each opponent loses X life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. Something that always gets me as well, as it baffles me, is each opponent, right? That's
it's a bit weird in the phrasing, right?
Yeah, that's
because usually you only have one opponent.
Yeah.
And this is exactly where Magic money comes a lot of time from. Is we have a format called Commander, and there 4 people play, sometimes even 5 or 6 or whatever. There each opponent actually multiplies the effect by a ton, right? So first, if you just cast it for 5 and you have 3 other opponents, you gain 15 life.
Oh, okay.
Which is quite a bunch.
That's
right?
a lot, geez, actually.
But it's also used a lot of the times just as if you have a way to create a lot of mana, and black is very good at creating a lot of mana, you can just dump it into that and kill everybody at once. This card looks innocent, a lot of Commander players know because they've died to it.
So it looks innocent like in the other formats, but like in Commander, it's not only is it like serious life gain, it's also like a push for lethal.
Exactly,
as well,
and if you look at it from a tournament sense, you have no idea. I mean, even in Draft Unlimited, you exclude it because it was probably like in this time last picks. You didn't want this because there's no reason.
But I mean, it makes sense because like against one opponent, it's not really a big deal because it's like, all right, whatever, I'm sinking a lot of mana in to not even like maybe kill you. But when it's like a bunch of people, you're like, I'm not only gaining all that life back, I'm also dealing like a little bit of damage here.
Exactly.
So it's kind of cool,
And there's also some life gain, tribal and stuff. This card is also worth €5.
Okay.
Even though that's not too long ago. Scars is maybe like 10 years or something. Okay. Those can very much lie in your binder.
Yeah, once again, sitting in a bulk, it's just in a pile in a desk somewhere and you're like, €5. Could be 50 quid if you find the 10. Like, you know, it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah, if you find a lot of those, they add up.
Solid, right. Next card in, we have Triumph of the Hordes. So 2 colors, 2 green, sorcery. Until the end of the turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect.
The normal rules of Magic give you 20 life, right? In the format we're looking at, which is Commander, you even start with 40 life. Okay. So that means a lot of the creatures which are scaled to play in a tournament setting for 20 life are now a little bit less.
Yeah, because people like less impactful because you have more life. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So every creature, at least in their hitting power, gets low in relativity. But Infect gives actually poison counters, and they cap at 10. Even for Commander. So that means even if your life total doubles, you still need 10 points of poison to kill a person. That's the same.
Oh, right, okay, so that doesn't get doubled. Okay, well that's
so like, for example, if you attack with a 5/5, right? You deal 5 points of damage, which is about 12% of life total, right? If it becomes a 6/6 infect creature, you already deal like 60% of the infect damage. And if you have a lot of creatures, can you imagine what happens?
All of a sudden that scales and it just gets out of hand,
Every one of your opponents only need 10 of those damage.
Yeah, so really just like, I mean, that takes 75% of the life total out of the game.
So you basically, what the card reads, in a sense, is give +1/+1, and then double your creature's power, which can be immensely like surprising to kill everybody.
Okay, because like in like a normal game of Magic, like in the other formats, 20 life, I mean, when you're dealing 10 damage anyway, so it's 50% total, so it's almost like, well, like if I can deal that damage, I can probably deal the extra 10 rather than like trying to invest into the poison mechanic. But in Commander, this actually matters a lot.
This is just a one-shot if you have enough creatures.
Okay.
And the real reason, like, this card is worth about €10, even though, like, if you looked at exchange rate, this is the same time span. So
about 10 years ago, right?
But about 10 years ago, right? But this is also a very important lesson and something to always look at if you want to like get a feel for Magic pricing. A lot of cards in Magic are time bound and flavor bound. So they print a lot of cards in a lot of sets, and a lot of them are very ambiguous. But a lot of those make only sense in a certain setting or in a certain justification to reprint that. That means a lot of the cards cannot be reprinted just like that because they need a certain setting to make it reasonable. They just don't put something
There's
in.
a lot of flavor kind of like in the way they reprint cards and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Because if I'm right, was Triumph for the Hordes, what's the name of the like alien mechanic? Is like Phyrex?
You mean like the Eldrazi?
Yeah,
exactly. So as you said, this comes from the Phyrexians, and the Phyrexians to reprint need a Phyrexian setting. That means you kind of have to first create a world where this card makes sense into print, and then even already printed.
Yeah, because otherwise it just feels a little bit out of place if you were to just jam it into
you cannot just put it into a random set that doesn't have anything to do with Infect and stuff. That is a reason why this card didn't get many reprints since then, and also probably won't get many reprints because Infect is also a little bit of a sketchy mechanic to start with, right?
I mean, it seems a bit. It seems like it could be busted, but then in Commander it probably is a little bit as well.
Also in tournament Magic, there's like an old format. There's an Infect deck which plays like 1/1s, like with Infect, and then throws a lot of pump spells on it. So you only need to deal 10 points of damage, so that's kind of redundant, and it's a very, very strong competitive deck in Legacy, one of the formats, and adding more cards with Infect is already problematic for the density of this.
Okay, so probably keep your eye on Triumph for the Hordes. It could not only just be at a price like already like decent price, it probably could go up as well.
As long as they don't print it, natural supply and demand things,
it's gonna
get more expensive. The more Magic players there are, the more Commander decks are built, things get more expensive. All right, number two.
All right, so number 2 we have Machias the Unhallowed. 3 colorless and then 3 black. So it's zombie cleric, legendary creature. And I'm going to need you to explain some of this. So we have Intimidate. Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. And then other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. So if you would like to take it away with like what exactly these text means?
Intimidate doesn't really matter.
Okay,
cool.
It's
just combat stuff that doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whenever a human deals damage to you, destroyed, also probably doesn't matter. You cannot control what others are playing, right? It's a bit of a flavor thing, and sometimes it happens, but usually you're going for the third one, which gives your creatures Undying. And Undying kind of reads like if it dies, it comes back.
Okay, cool.
So, one time. You kind of have a creature, it dies, it comes back with a counter, which is a bit stronger, +1/+1 counter. Okay. And if it does die with a +1/+1 counter, it dies. Okay. So it's gone. But if you, for example, can remove the counter again, it still comes back. Because as long as it doesn't have a counter, it comes back, and then you put a counter on it.
Oh, okay.
But there are some cards, for example, like a 1/1 for 1 mana that says like remove a counter from a permanent. So if you can remove it, it comes back all the time.
What?
So
that's so weird.
Magic is weird.
That's like so strange. It's not like there's like a floating effect around it. It's like you'd expect the counter to be the thing that dictated whether it came back, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's kind of a way how Magic interacts like with itself.
Yeah.
Because like if you don't interact, it's a perfectly reasonable mechanic, right?
Yeah.
It dies, it comes back, it's a little stronger, it dies
and
again.
It's gone. But then when other cards get involved in the mix, that all of a sudden becomes a bit of an issue.
So within like the set itself, it wasn't, I think, even possible to remove those counters.
Okay, yeah.
But once you add up from all the magic of cards, then obviously you can do some stuff.
That's called design space, folks.
Yes, exactly. And as you can already imagine in your head, if you're actually interacting with those counters, there are going to be some loops.
Yeah,
some
you can start looping things. Like,
things just doesn't die. Remember the concept of they can reprint something or not. You have both of the concepts that I talked about. You have the mechanic of Undying. So that means you need to have a setting where Undying is actually a mechanic.
Can be the focus of the set almost.
Yeah, you cannot just put it in and have Undying or something. And you also have a legendary creature that's bound to the story. Which is really, really hard to just reprint.
So it makes it, this card is exceptionally unlikely to be reprinted, right?
It's just a normal set. Sometimes they do commander stuff and always can happen, but there's only a certain amount of space they can put in one of those sets, right? So eventually, the probability is very high. It's going to be reprinted anywhere in time. It's just probably not within the next 5 or 10 years. You know?
Like, so you have a while to wait anyway. It's a very short, very high demand card in the sense that like there's short supply.
Looking at cards that are restricted on reprinting and a very strong commander is always a guarantee, like to make it expensive, right? And in this particular version, this is worth around 30 euros.
Okay, solid,
Yeah, and those, again, are from the same time frame. Like Accentuate, Triumph of the Holy Chaos are roughly around the same age. That's the beauty of Magic cards. If they never get reprinted, right? You're never losing really money. Like, it's crazy.
All right, last card. My favorite here again, right? Lovely artwork again, lovely pirates. I love the pirate aesthetic in card games as well. I think this is really, really cool. Just like swashbuckling and stuff like that is really interesting. So we've Pitiless Plunderer, 3 colorless, 1 black, creature, human pirate. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with untap. Sacrifice this artifact and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. I think that's a pretty decent effect.
You go away and tell me why it's worth it.
Okay, right. So when was this printed?
This was printed about 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, 4 or 5 years ago. Well, you're adding mana of any color to your mana pool,
which is always
adding
good,
mana.
Right?
Yeah, it's adding mana is always good.
Yeah.
Whenever another creature you control dies, so I can see some sort of loops getting involved here as well. Maybe
with some other cards.
Yeah, with some other cards that we've been talking about.
Exactly.
And then I don't know if this is like another thing, but it's thematic and it's pirate based, so I don't know if they could just randomly jam it into another set. It wouldn't feel right flavor wise.
Very good.
So that's my assessment on why this card probably hasn't been printed many times.
Absolutely correct. No, like treasures are very powerful mechanic in Commander because when people give you time and you assess treasures, you can cast your very good and expensive spells. Others creature dying is not a very hard limit to put on because you have constant other creatures who die. You probably even make them die yourself.
You're like, I need this to go away. So,
exactly. And then you get treasures. And the way, as you said, that a human pirate interacts with like the lore is you kind of have to have a reason why they're pirates. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of stories don't involve pirates.
Very rarely. It's usually just stuff that is like on the sea or near a port.
Like we come from like the Neon Dynasty, right? And like in the recent sets, and they just don't have the setting for that.
Yeah, a pirate showing up there would be very weird.
This card is very, very popular. Very, very strong in a sense that it doesn't need any build-up. You have other creatures, they die, and it helps you to cast all your other spells. So this one is around 7 euros, which is incredible for an uncommon for like 4 or 5 years.
It's only 5 years ago, that's nuts.
Like this comes from a time where people played a lot of Magic. Like many people drafted, picked up those cards.
But it's not even that long ago when you think about it. It's like 2017. It's like
but the card is so popular and so like it doesn't need more to work.
Yeah, it just works as is. It's just a good card,
right. And this is a card. Even when you meet somebody recently who said like, yeah, I played Magic like a few years ago and stuff, they can have this, and each of those is easily $10 in your pocket.
Once again, sitting on a black bin bag full of just money at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So those were the top 5 this time. I hope you took some concepts.
I've been taking mental notes, and I'll write them down when I go home in my little journal to look when I go back.
And I'm interested what you find.
Yeah, I'll have to do a little recap once I actually go back and get them all and everything, and then we'll see how much I can profit from this, my poor dad.
Yeah, no, and if you liked it, if it helps you, if you find something valuable that you didn't know that's valuable.
Yeah, if it makes you guys go home and look at your book and check it out and stuff like that, absolutely, like, let us know in the comments below, because like that way we know we're doing something good and we can actually kind of, you know, make more of these videos.
So if you also find something that you found surprising finding out what it's worth, and you want to have it displayed on the show, you can write it in the comments, and then we find like if we're gonna display it.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, until next time, guys. See you around.